Okay, this is the statement of Byron Scherf. The date is February 10th, 2011, and the time is now 17:31 hours. I am Detective Novotny from the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office. This statement is being recorded on the 4th floor of the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office in Everett, Washington. There are just 6 persons present in the room. 6 persons present in the room. For the purposes of voice-identification, would each person present, besides Mr. Scherf, the person who has given this statement, please state your name and occupation one at a time.
Detective Barry Hatch, Monroe Police.
Sergeant Cindy Chessie, Monroe Police Department.
Detective Dave Biendl, Snohomish County Sheriff's Office.
Sergeant John Bates, Snohomish County Sheriff's Office, Corrections Bureau.
Great. Mr. Scherf, do you understand that this statement is being recorded audio and video?
Yes.
And do we have your permission to do so?
Yes, you do.
Would you say your full name and spell it?
Byron Eugene Scherf, BYRONEUGENESCHERF.
And what's your birthday, sir?
8358.
Okay, before we proceed, I'm going to advise you of your rights, okay? So bear with me. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in a court of law. You have the right this time to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you can afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you for any question if you wish. And you can decide any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. Do you understand each of these rights explained to you?
Yes, I do.
Having these rights in mind, you wish to talk to us.
Yes, I do.
And just acknowledging that you understand that, would you mind saying your name right there?
Okay.
And to note, Mr. Scherf is going to sign his name where it says subject signature. And I will sign my name as a witness. Okay, Mr. Scherf, I'm going to give a little background here why we're in this room again today. So just bear with me. As everybody knows, we were talking to you yesterday about this case. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. This morning, I received information that you had completed another kite because you wanted to talk to us. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And actually, I have that kite right here. Take a look at that. Is that what you wrote this morning?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And on the top of the kite, it has your name, your SIN number, today's date, which is February 10th, 2011. And on this kite, I'll read it. It says, would you please take a few minutes out of your day, no more than 10, and come over to my jail cell ASAP. I have something that I need your help with regarding a speedy resolution of my case. It will not be a waste of your time. I will need to speak with you privately, though. Is that what you wrote?
Yes.
And you asked for Detective Biendl and I?
Yes.
Okay. And did we show up at your...
Yes, you did.
Okay. At that time, before I talked to you, I advised you of your rights again.
Yes, you did.
And you agreed to talk to us.
Yes, I did.
All right. And at that time, you said that you had a couple things you wanted me to check on.
Mm-hmm.
What were those things?
I wanted to check with the prosecutor's office and see if I could meet with someone from their office, and also to check with Eldendale and Superintendent Frakes to see if I could meet with them after I had met with the prosecutor.
Okay. And what did I tell you in your response?
You said you would basically convey my, you'd go talk to him and see what could happen. You didn't have any jurisdiction. And about the prosecutor, you said that it could be a problem because the attorney might have to be involved or something like that.
Okay. So I didn't make any promises to you.
No problem.
And all I relayed to you was that I would look into it for you.
Yes.
Okay. Also, at that time, when we were talking to you, I advised you that we had some follow-up questions to ask you pertaining to what we talked to you about yesterday.
About 8 or 10, you said.
Yeah. And I'm going to be honest with you right now, that 8 to 10 have turned into maybe 20.
Okay.
Is that going to be okay?
Sure. I mean, I don't know what I'll answer, but...
Right. Okay. So, also today, after we left, we were going to arrange for this interview to take place. And I also learned that you had a meeting with your attorney this afternoon. What time was that?
That was at 3:30.
Okay. And who's your attorney?
Neil Friedman?
Okay. Did you meet with him?
Yes.
Okay. How long did you meet with him for?
25 minutes, maybe.
Okay. Did he know that you were going to come over this afternoon to talk to us?
Yes, he did.
And what did he tell you?
Yeah, he said he wouldn't advise it, but I told him that that's okay. I feel that I need to do it, and this is my situation, and I have to do what I feel best for me and my conscience, and someone do it anyway.
Okay. Do you understand that you can follow what he's suggesting and what recommending?
I know that. I can also not follow what he recommends.
Okay. And you understand you don't have to talk to us?
Right, I understand that.
Okay. All right. But obviously we're here, so you would like to talk to us. Okay. After you met with your attorney, you completed a second kite.
Yes.
Okay. And this kite, which I have here with me, is also dated February 10th, and it has my name and Detective Bielyeu's name on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, "I would like to see you today at 5 p.m." What does that say?
Or thereabouts.
Or thereabouts. And it has your signature.
Yes.
Okay. So Detective Bielyeu and I met with you downstairs, and what did I advise you immediately?
The rights.
Okay, and what did you say?
I said I wanted to talk to you anyway.
Okay, and so here we are.
Right.
All right. What I'd like to do is I have a list of questions for you,
Okay.
and I have some photographs as well.
All right.
Are you okay looking at photographs? Okay. Let's start with this. Yesterday, we asked you about some problems that Officer Bindle may have had with other inmates. And one thing in particular was that she rejected some inmates about some sort of baptismal.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you know who those inmates are?
No, but there's a guy, his name's Adrian Gargan, Gargan, and he may be able to give you more information about that, or Harold Eirich, Eirich. They're kind of in charge of that service and take care of those baptisms, so.
Okay, are those two individuals inmates? Or are
Yes,
they?
they're inmates.
Okay, all right. Okay.
And then Bob Falk would be the sponsor that would be over that service. Faulk.
Okay. Yesterday we were talking about the clothing that you were wearing at the time of the murder, and some of the clothing had blood on it. And in particular your coat, and also Officer Bindle's coat. What blood is on your coat?
I would assume that it's mine,
Okay. And why would your blood be on that coat?
because she bit my finger pretty good and it was bleeding all over the place.
Okay. At any time, do you remember placing your coat over her?
No.
Okay. What about her coat?
Placing it over her?
Yes,
No.
sir. Okay. Because there is some red stain inside her jacket as well, and so we were wondering how that got there.
I'm not sure, unless maybe if I had reached under her coat, and been wrestling around with her or something, and my hand got under there or something. Other than that, I don't know.
Okay, so at no time did you take any clothing article and place it over her?
No.
Okay. What I want to do, sir, is show you some photos.
Okay.
Can you tell me what this is?
That is the front gate going into the chapel.
Would you mind using this marker and just saying that, or just writing down front gate to chapel? Or whatever you want to write on there.
Right front gate to chapel.
Okay. And if you don't mind, just put your initials on there and date it today.
Which is to what, 10?
10.
Okay.
Okay.
Before we go, can you confirm, is this the gate that you closed?
Yes, this one is secure. It doesn't open. It's just this gate right here that swings, this side here.
And when you got up out of the clerk's office and you went outside, is this the gate that
This
you
is the
closed
gate, yes.
before going back
Yes.
inside? Okay.
And in addition, which I didn't tell you yesterday, is usually there's an officer posted down this walkway, and took a quick look to make sure there was nobody there, and there wasn't, and then that's when I shut the gates.
So when you shut the gate, who did you see out there?
And nobody.
Nobody.
When you say you look down the walkway, if you're coming out of the chapel and you come to that gate, straight ahead's the yard. To the right is the turnstile and Tower 9.
Right.
And to the left is another building and it kind of
That's
blocks
the
the view.
23J, yes,
Which direction did you
toward
look?
Tower 9.
Towards Tower 9 to the east.
Yes, and there's usually on movements, there's usually an officer that posts down. When you're going toward Tower 9, there's a walkway that goes toward the PAB, the activities building, and there's usually an officer standing on that walkway looking down toward that PAB. And that's what I was looking for, to see if there was anyone there, and there wasn't.
How far away, distance-wise, if the person had been at post, would they have been when you were
There's a
looking for
gate.
them?
There's a gate. If you're walking this way toward Tower 9, there's a gate that can be closed right there. And usually they're right on the other side of that gate, looking straight down that walkway that would head toward the PAB. So the PAB's here. They would be posted here looking down that sidewalk. And then they'd have the visual of all this here.
Would they have had a clear view of
Certainly.
that gate?
Certainly. And the tower over here probably, if they would have been looking in that specific direction, would have seen me close that gate as well.
It was dark outside though, right?
Yeah. But I think this area is kind of lighted. There's some light stuff in here, but
When you close this gate, does it automatically lock?
yes, it's a slam lock.
So when Officer Maynard found you, he had to unlock this gate to get to you.
Yes, and this door was standing open.
Okay.
This
Can
door-
you put an X on what door was open
This one right here.
and the other door was closed?
Yes.
Okay.
This door, and there's a little latch here that hooks onto the end of it. You can see it right here.
Yes.
It was hooked. And
Oh, so it was all the way
it
open.
was all the way open.
Okay. All right.
Was it held open because you latched it?
No, that's the way that the officer keeps it,
Okay.
especially during movement periods.
Did you open and close either of those yourself?
No.
Okay.
Can you describe what you're looking at here?
That's the sanctuary, main sanctuary.
Okay. What I would like to do is to, we talked a lot yesterday about where you were at and where you saw Officer Bindle and where you approached her from. Is this an okay picture to kind of explain that better?
Yeah.
Can you use that pen and kind of maybe mark areas where you're at, where you saw her? And,
Well, like I say, when I came in here, she was probably down in this area, right? And this podium wasn't there at the time, by the way. I don't know where it was. Sometimes they move it off to the side.
Okay.
Or it may have been there. I just don't remember.
okay.
But she was like probably down in this area somewhere.
Can you put B for Bindle, just so we know? Okay.
And then I came through this door here.
So mark where you came through, and maybe just your initials or put me, just so we know it's you. So when you came in, after you shut that gate, you enter those doors. This is where you were standing when you saw Officer Bindle.
Yes, and she was walking this way.
Towards the stage.
Yes.
Okay. What route, if you can show maybe just with a line and an arrow, what you took? Okay. All right. And when you got up to this point, she was already on the stage.
Yeah, because when I came in this door, she was about here. So, like I said, I was moving faster than she was. So she was still moving, but I was closing in on her really pretty quick.
Okay. All right.
Did we ask you yesterday how much time that took from the?
I think you did, but I mean, I don't know. I think it's just, we're talking seconds. That's not a very long walk. 1001, 1002, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 seconds to get from there to there. And
Okay.
I don't,
Would you mind put your initials in there as well? Thank you. Okay, what are we looking at here?
this is the stage or the platform in the chapel.
Okay. When you walked up onto the stage, can you show me kind of with an arrow and mark where she was standing?
Yeah, now this was moved, I think. This should have been further out here. It seems to me that it was.
So you're telling me that this little keyboard or little piano is not in the spot that it was that
It
night?
seems that it was further over this way because when I was coming up here, she was almost to this door, and I tried to swing around this side, and this looks like it's almost right up against the wall.
So let's make it very clear here that you believe that this has been moved.
Yes.
Okay. Can you mark on here where you think it was that night?
It was closer to this door.
Okay. Can you put like KB for keyboard just so we know what we're talking about? Okay. And you just described to me that you tried to walk around that keyboard.
Right, and because she was here, and then that's when she was alerted or sensed that I was there, and she moved this way, and I came back around this way.
Okay. We have some other photos we can move to get a better idea where things are at. So if you don't mind, just place your initials again in that. All right. Tell me what you look at here. What you're looking at.
Same thing. This is the stage or the platform. Looking from, I guess this would be north over here.
Okay.
I'm assuming.
Obviously, there's something different about this picture than what the stage normally looks like.
Big old hunk of carpet missing.
Okay, all right. I'm just going to stand up really quick. So we're looking at here, is this the door that you described her standing at?
Yes.
Okay.
And again, from this angle, this keyboard was more in that direction.
Okay.
It had to be, but I tried to go around that.
Okay.
And from this angle, it doesn't look like there's...
Which direction again?
Slid this way.
Oh, okay.
So the base would probably be, it's close. I mean, there was still room along this wall for her to come across this way, but it had to have been closer that way.
Okay. So what you're describing to me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that you were going to approach her by going around the keyboard.
Yes, because then I would have still been behind her.
Okay. Gotcha. When you're up here that night, where were you standing when she realized that you were there?
Like I was right on the end of the keyboard.
Okay. Do me a favor, if you don't mind, put an X or your initials so we know. Okay. And she's standing by the door.
Yes.
If you can maybe put a mark and put B for Bindle. Okay.
But then she noticed me, then she slid this way, and then I came.
This item right here is what?
That is like a little sound, where they keep the amps for the sound equipment.
Okay. And what you're describing to us is that when she saw you, she walked against that wall towards that item.
And I'd say she was probably about right here.
Can you somehow do a mark, like a stick figure of a person so we can have an idea?
And I don't know where that mic stand was in relation, but it doesn't seem to me that it was there either, so.
Okay, so this is probably out of place here.
Yes.
Okay. And just so you know, things have been moved.
Okay.
And so just do the best you can what you can remember. Okay. So when she moved that way, you came around the keyboard and
No, I
walked towards
came
her?
back around this way.
Okay, so you never got around it.
No, I wanted to cut her off from any exit route this way because she was heading this way.
Okay. So you came in this way and you had confronted her over here.
Yes.
And is that where the first physical altercation occurred?
Yes.
Okay.
That's where she actually went for her mic, was right there.
Okay. Can you draw just another stick figure just showing that that's where you were standing with her?
I don't know, you
Just
get
like this,
perspective
just,
on that.
yeah, I know it's difficult.
I'll
Just
just
an
draw
idea.
it like this, huh?
Perfect. This is you.
Yes,
And-
heading in this direction.
Okay. All right. Can you initial, please?
Is this also the wall that you scraped up your knuckles on?
I'm believing you. I'm sure that's what happened along that wall there. 'Cause
And
that's brick.
if we were to look for some of your skin on that wall, where roughly would that altercation have taken place, that part of?
Right in here, probably from this mic stand toward this, because it seems
So between
to
the
me,
mic stand and this
in
wooden
that cabinet,
cabinet?
because it seems to me, if I remember, we spent a lot of time wrestling with her backed up into this corner, and me trying to gain control and keep control. I mean, there was a lot going on. I think that's where she stomped my foot, but
Okay. And so this little corner here is where you had her pinned in.
yes.
Okay. What do
In
you?
fact, I know that mic stand wasn't there.
Okay, so yeah, things have been moved, obviously. Where do you? Was there anything here in place of this mic stand?
No, this was all open.
It was all open over
Yeah,
here.
like I said, this keyboard was shifted this way, and there was nothing over there
Okay.
that I can remember or recall.
This
Sometimes they put a table up here, but it wasn't there, I'm sure.
I believe there's like cups on top of this
That's
stand.
what the people who do the music, they drink out of those.
Okay. If you don't mind, just we can look at that, so we'll have you initial that as well. And what are we looking at this one?
This is my favorite chair.
Okay, can you just put a mark on that, just show them that's where you were? Is that where you were sitting that night?
Yes.
Okay. What else about this picture? Have we discussed anything prior about anything else in
Yeah,
here?
you talked about this shoestrings and the A&D ointment that you found behind this plant,
Okay. So
which I had thrown there.
okay. Can you just make some marks in there that in
I'm not-
an arrow or something?
Okay.
That's fine. Okay. All right. Go ahead and initial that for me, sir. Is there anything else about this that you wanted to say? Okay.
I mean, that's where I was sitting, like I said, when I, after I blacked out, this is where I came to, was right here.
Okay.
I realized it.
And still to this day, do you remember your walk from the stage to this point?
No. I remember walking up there after. I sat here for a while and went back up there just to look at her.
Okay. What's this show?
This shows the main sanctuary, the doors leading into the main sanctuary, and this is the chair that I told you that I had moved out that I was sitting in when the officers came and found me.
Okay. This window right here on the left-hand side of this picture, what is this?
That's the clerk's office with the clerk's computer sitting right there.
So this is the room that you were sitting in.
Yes.
When you closed the gate and you came back into the chapel, what direction were you walking from?
Right this way.
Can you just do a little arrow for me? Okay. So this chair was moved here by you.
This chair was sitting over here.
Would you mind showing where that was at? And this is all approximates. Okay. All right. Next to the chair on the ground, you can barely see it. I can just tell you right now, this is a pair of gloves.
Mm-hmm.
Were these gloves associated to you at all?
No, I think, I don't know if they were there, or maybe one of the officers had them on or something. I don't know where they came from.
Okay. If you don't mind, initial for me. This is just a close-up of the previous picture of that blue chair, correct?
Yep.
I think you might be able to see it a little better here in this photo, but there are little pieces of like white items. Do you know what these white items are?
No.
Okay.
It's like paper or something.
Okay. Is that from you at all?
No.
If you don't mind, just initial that.
Whoops.
Can you describe what you're seeing?
A garbage can liner with, it's like a paper clip.
Do you know anything about this paperclip?
No, not that I can recall.
Did
Looks
you-
like it's actually hooked onto that garbage can.
Did you make this paperclip?
No,
Okay. Go ahead and initial for me. Do you know who made that?
I have no idea.
And what are you looking at there?
Paper clip,
Close up, right, of that previous picture. Again, nothing,
nothing.
no meaning to you.
Uh-uh.
Okay, if you don't mind, initial.
Mr. Scherf, do you know anybody who would make something like that?
No, I don't even recognize what it would be.
Okay.
Last night when we were talking to you, thank you, sir, you mentioned that you normally leave the chapel early to go to the pill line.
Yes, usually at 10 to 8, what's that, 7:50 or 7:50.
Okay. What kind of medication do you take?
I take nortriptyline for chronic pain, kind of like a fibromyalgia, and I usually drink a prune juice
Okay.
because that nortriptyline has a tendency to constipate me. So they gave me prune juice to
How long have you been taking that medication?
quite a while.
Okay. Any other medications?
Oh, off and on, but not from pill line. They give you medications right in the keeping your cell.
Did you have any other medication that you kept in your cell?
Yes.
What did you have in the cell?
Imitrex, naproxen 375 milligram, Fibercom, which isn't really medicine, it's just like a fiber. Colace, which is a stool softener. I had over-the-counter stuff that I purchased off the store, like Tylenol, ibuprofen, aspirin, and not decongestants, but antihistamines. And I also had a nasal spray, nasal spray.
Okay.
Do any of those that you just listed change your behavior at
No,
all?
not at all.
Do any of
There's
those,
the nortriptyline has a tendency to make me sleepy. That's about it.
do any of those alter your judgment at all?
I wouldn't say so.
Has it ever affected you before in any way like that?
Not that I know of.
Made you make bad decisions?
Not that I know of.
In the chapel, there is a box in the entryway. I think it's called a prayer box.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? Have you ever filled out any forms?
Yes.
When was the last time you did that?
Oh, it's been a long time.
Okay. How long ago do you think?
Months. 6 months maybe.
Do you have any recollection or any memory about maybe filling one out a couple of days prior to this incident?
No. I filled out a prayer slip that was passed around in one of the Bible studies.
When was that?
That was on Thursday night.
Okay. And so that was passed around
Yes.
to the group?
Yes.
And
And that's there's in the prayer box there's little slips that go in there,
okay.
and you fill those out if you have a prayer request and drop it into it. What I did was there's a sheet that's passed around, and I had written on there that I was struggling with this temptation, and I asked that for prayer for that.
What kind of temptation was
I've
that?
been having trouble with eating, overeating, gluttony, things like that. My wife and I had talked about it, and she's been doing well on losing her weight, and I was trying to work toward that, and that's what I was.
Okay, so it had nothing to do with Officer Bindle?
Not at all.
Or any other inmates?
Not at all,
Or any other correction staff?
no. No.
So it was purely just eating habits?
Yes, gluttony, I guess, is what I would.
Since this incident on January 29th, have you documented anything that happened in any books or any kind of paperwork?
Nope. Let me ask you guys a question, if I could. Is there any reason why you guys would mess with my mail? Outgoing mail or incoming?
No.
I was, the night that I talked with you guys, I was given some envelopes and paper, and I wrote those letters, and it was never counted in my account as indigent, and I don't know if those letters ever went out.
I'm sorry, I didn't think.
The letters that I wrote the night that I asked you guys for envelopes and paper, those were given to me, and I wrote letters, but there was never any charges to my account for indigent postage or anything.
We have zero
Okay, I was
contact
just-
with your mail. We
I was
don't
just
do
wondering,
anything.
I didn't know, maybe, I don't know if the jail staff would or what, but.
If you'd like, when we're done, I can ask if those were mailed.
I'll just get in touch with my family, I guess, eventually and find out from them, but.
Okay. Do you
I
know?
just thought I'd ask, I didn't know if,
Yeah, I don't. Do you know inmate Wentz?
yes,
How do you know inmate Wentz?
I've known Bob for a number of years.
And how do you know Mr. Wentz?
Well, we work together, we've run together, that's about it.
Where
Gone
do,
to church together.
where do you guys work together at?
He works in the print shop in the safety department, and I work in the print shop in the typesetting department. But we had worked in maintenance together years before that.
Okay. Describe your relationship with him.
It's been a rocky one.
Has it?
Yeah.
What's been going on with him? Why is that?
To me, he's a very aggravating type personality. We've had some clashes in the past.
Okay. Have you had ever any kind of like physical altercations with him?
Yes.
When was the last time you had that?
Physical was when we worked up in the maintenance department.
And when we're talking physical, what are we talking about?
He was mouthing off to me, and I had had enough of it, and he wouldn't shut up, so I basically grabbed him around the neck
Okay.
and held him for a few minutes and let him go.
Okay. How long ago was that?
I don't know, a couple of years, 3 years maybe.
Okay. And when you grabbed around the neck, are we
Just
talking
my hands.
Just by your hands?
Yeah.
Did you use both your hands?
Yes.
Did you just put your hands on his neck, or?
Well, I was lifting weights at the time, so I put quite a bit of pressure on his neck.
And what happened to him from that?
He said he was injured by it.
Okay. Did he appear to be injured to you?
No, but he complained that it hurt, but he didn't have any physical symptoms that he was in any type of discomfort.
Okay. Did he ever lose consciousness?
No.
Okay. I'd like to ask you a question about Officer Bindle's radio. Do you know what hip she had her radio on?
I'm not sure, but I'm thinking it was like maybe right here.
So her left side.
I'm thinking, yes.
Okay, and I know we've talked about this already, but I just want to make sure I understand correctly, is that you first grabbed her mic and you tore that off.
Yes.
You grabbed the radio second.
That was, but I mean, there was some time that elapsed between the mic being grabbed and tossed and the radio being grabbed and tossed.
How much time are we talking?
It's hard to gauge time. I'm saying maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes. I don't know for sure.
Okay, that's okay. Was it difficult to get that radio away
Yes,
from her?
she was struggling to keep that radio, and she had both hands around it, and I thought for sure she had keyed on the side, and she was yelling into that radio, and I was doing everything I could to get it out of her hands, and finally did, and like I say, tossed it over my shoulder.
So, did she initially take the radio out of her holder?
No, I was trying to take it out
Okay.
to get it away from her, and then that's when she grabbed onto it.
Okay, so, and I just want to make sure I understand this clearly, is that you initially grabbed it away, and then she fought for that radio?
She tried to hold on to it.
And at one point you said that she had both of her hands
And
on
I
it.
was, yeah, and I was sure she'd keyed it, but
Okay.
evidently.
Was it out in front of her, and you guys were struggling with it in front, or?
Well, yeah, she's still kind of bent over, so it's like a thing like that.
Okay. Do you know if you had to break anything on that radio holder to get it
I
out?
don't recall.
Okay.
I probably just grabbed it and yanked it, so maybe I busted the strap. I don't know.
Okay. So initially, the person that actually removed that from her side was you initially?
That's as I recall it is.
Okay. And you motioned down, like, she was down here. Was she still standing, or was she?
Yeah, she was upright, but she was leaning over,
Okay.
like at the waist, just bent, so she'd be.
Okay. How long was she, I guesstimate, how long was she able to hold on to that radio for?
30 seconds.
Okay.
I mean, it's real hard to gauge time in a situation like that. I mean, you don't.
Yeah.
I don't
And I apologize. And, just.
I mean, you asked me to, I'm trying, I just don't,
Yeah.
I can't. I'm sorry.
No, you don't apologize. You're doing your best, and that's all I can ask for. So I appreciate that. If you don't know, you just tell me you don't know. At what point did you notice that Officer Bindle was bleeding?
I didn't ever notice that she was bleeding.
Okay.
I mean, I knew I was.
When you blacked out and you walked away, and then you came back up to her body, yesterday you told us you looked at her face and you noticed that her eyes were rolled
Yes.
back. So you looked at her face. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you notice anything, any blood?
No, I didn't recall seeing any blood. That doesn't mean it wasn't. It was pretty dark at that time still, too, so I don't know.
Okay. When you were taken to the lieutenant's office, and I believe it was when you were taken to the segregation unit, do you remember doing anything to your hands?
No.
Do you remember biting your nails?
No. Well, one thing that did happen, when they took the cuffs off, this drug across the food, but that's not what that's from. But it opened that up a little more and started bleeding more profusely, but it was already there.
Do you remember licking your hands at all?
No.
Licking your fingers?
No, not that I can recall. I may have a little bit too, but I don't. I'm sure it would be on video. They have a video camera if I did, but.
Do you remember having a conversation with Corrections Officer Adams afterwards?
Adams. I don't know that by name. What was the nature of the conversation?
Allegedly, you made a comment, something to the effect of you weren't on the losing end of that.
Oh, no. He said that. This is when I was telling them that I had been jumped by the Mexicans, and then one of the officers, it might have been him, I don't know who it was, said, it doesn't look like you were on the losing end of that.
So he said that?
He said that, yes.
You didn't?
I did not say that.
Did you have a response to his statement?
No.
Do you know inmate McKiernan?
Mike McKiernan, yeah.
Okay. Describe your relationship with him.
It's been rocky over the years. We've been friends at times, but he's kind of a different individual. I don't really have a lot to do with him. I talk to him, but he's just kind of a strange guy.
Have you ever had any kind of physical altercations with him?
No.
Do you remember having a conversation with inmate McKiernan on Friday night?
No.
Any conversation, do you recall a conversation about, you said something to the effect of, you better get out before the evil slut catches you?
No, I didn't say anything like that. You got to understand, there's people over there that are going to say things.
Absolutely, and see
They're
that's
just going to make stuff up for whatever reason.
I I have no doubt about that. And that's why,
I mean, he's one of them that would do something like that.
okay. And that's why I want to make sure I ask you all these questions so you can explain if you want to.
Yeah, no, I never said anything like that.
All right. Do you remember, those little turnstiles between the tower and the chapel that you have to walk through? Do you remember having a conversation or making a statement to inmate McKiernan the day of the incident just beforehand with him?
Actually, now that I think about it, he was going to the law library and he was trying to tell me something, but and I thought that was in the afternoon though.
It could have been.
And I went out there to pick a magazine up off the literature rack because I was still waiting for my visit, and then I went immediately back in. But none of that stuff that he's saying there was said.
Okay, so
That's ridiculous.
Okay, and I'm just going to ask you again because you need to know. Did you ever tell him that you got a date with the she-devil?
No.
I know I asked you about this yesterday a little bit, but I'm not sure if we really talked about it a lot. Can you again describe your relationship, your 2.5-year, 3-year relationship with Bindle?
I think it was more than that because if I remember, she started out there like in 2005 or something like that. So it's been a number of years. You know what? I never really personally had too many problems with her. Just different times she's been abrasive toward other people, and I've observed that. She hasn't ever really said anything too crazy to me that I can recall. We talked. I wasn't hostile toward her. Sometimes I felt that she was hostile toward me, just in her demeanor. But I think she had emotional problems too, because she spent a lot of time on the phone in there. When she was supposed to be doing other duties, she'd be in there talking on the phone. And, I mean, you can ask anybody that goes to the chapel. She would spend hours on the phone. You'd have to fight her to get out of there to use the bathroom. And she'd act like that was an inconvenience. Just little things like that would irritate me, but nothing that would ever drive me to the point of wanting to hurt her.
Okay. The night before this happened, was she in the office? Did you ever see her on the phone?
The night before?
Okay, the night of the incident.
Yeah, I think she spent some time in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was her demeanor?
You know what? She seemed like she was really struggling with something. Like there was something going on. I would assume something personal. She seemed kind of more quiet and subdued, and had a sad expression on her face. Well, the way she talked to that one sponsor and me all the time, maybe she was irritated about something. I don't know what you would call it.
So she had a verbal altercation with one of the sponsors?
She yelled at him, "Hey!" Because she was trying to find out if they were leaving at that point, and so she was disrespectful toward them.
You've been around her quite a bit, obviously. Do you guys ever have a chance or opportunity to joke around and laugh and giggle about things?
But just small stuff.
Okay.
There was never anything inappropriate or...
Do you know who inmate Snow is?
Yes.
Okay. How do you know him?
He's been around for a while. He attends services over there, and we had some problems a few years ago.
And again, the same question, any kind of physical altercations with inmate Snow?
None at all.
There was an anonymous kite that was written to have him removed from the library portion of the chapel. Mm-hmm. Did you write that?
No, I had heard about that, but I didn't write it.
Do you know who wrote that?
No, I don't know. There's a lot of people gunning for that guy, so it could have been just about anybody.
So he's not a well-liked guy?
He's not very well-liked, no.
What's his deal?
He's kind of has an attitude, and he's big, so he thinks he can push everybody around. And that's what our conflict was about. But it never resulted in anything physical, just verbal.
On the 29th, earlier in the night, were you in the library checking out books to people?
Yeah, I was working on the computer. I'm not sure if I was checking out books. I think I was putting I don't remember exactly what it was either putting tapes in the tape library, or I could have been checking out books.
Did anybody come up to you and ask to check out a book, and you denied that?
I don't recall that, no.
Okay. You didn't have any problems with anybody else in the chapel that night other than Officer Bindle?
Yeah,
Is that correct?
that was correct.
Last night I also asked you if you've ever taken a life before Officer Bindle, correct? What about have you ever committed any other crimes that you've never been caught for?
No.
Any crimes including other sexual assaults that you've been caught for?
Everything's documented in my history.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
I do.
Hey, wait, that's more than 20.
I know. Are you okay?
You said 20 for you and 20 for... No, I'm not going for
I didn't get to my questions yet.
Is this okay? Are you okay right now? Okay.
I've only got a
I'm
few.
just teasing.
I know you are.
Last night I asked you about the injuries on your body that we've been photographing, and you estimated it was somewhere around 90% or so that we've been photographing
Maybe even 95.
were from the fight.
Yes.
What 5% or so are not from the
Anything,
fight?
there's a lot of stuff going like you can see right now. I'm red because there's where the handcuffs go. So there could be some of this stuff on my wrists and my ankles that could be from handcuffs. But I mean, it's pretty obvious, you can see. And that's what I was
So essentially you're referring to the restraints that the jail would put on you.
Yes. And I mean, it's not intentional. I mean, it's not like they're putting them on to physically hurt me, and I bruise easily and mark easily, so that's part of it too. All this stuff on my hands, you know, on my shin. I think she was kicking me in my shins too, if I remember
I
correctly.
mean, you've been in that room with us for hours on end when we've been photographing
Yes.
you, and we've found bruises all over you.
Yeah, you might find some Saturday that are new. I don't know. It's just...
Since we've been photographing you, have you fallen down? Has anybody else kicked you? Have you
No.
banged parts of your body on a wall to cause a bruise?
No, not that I know of.
So those injuries we've been documenting are from the
They're
fight.
from that altercation.
A few minutes ago, you mentioned that Officer Bindle had been yelling into the radio, or trying to yell into the radio. Do you remember what she was saying?
Help, help, please help.
Did you hear any response back on the
None
radio?
whatsoever. I didn't hear a squawk out of that radio. I don't even know if the thing worked. Battery might have been dead. I don't know. Just, the whole time, I never heard anything out of it.
And we talked yesterday, you had come to that point where you decided you weren't just going to assault her, you were going to kill her. When you were formulating that plan, did it include getting that radio away from her, because that would be her lifeline?
Yes.
So you thought, I'm going to kill her, I'm going to do it by strangling her, and I better be damn sure I get that radio
Yes.
away from her.
Yes.
So that wasn't just spontaneous.
That wasn't spontaneous. I knew that I had to do that.
Where was that in the steps that you took?
Somewhere in that process of escalated in that anger that I had there in that office, waiting for things to close down, and just waiting for the opportunity, I guess.
Were there any other steps that you had formulated in that thought process?
No. Like I said, it was first I thought about just assaulting her, and then it turned into much more than that, obviously.
That's all.
Sir, I don't have 20 questions, but can I ask you a couple?
You may.
All right. So Detective Bolotny asked you about inmate McKiernan
Yes,
in the turnstile.
yes.
Did you do anything when you guys were walking through the turnstile? Like, stop it?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
But he's characteristic of doing that, and you can ask other people around there. That's a favorite trick of his. In fact, if you want to know the true character of that guy, you need to go over to that engraving shop and talk to his coworkers. That's where you need to go find out what that guy's all about.
Okay. Did he do it to you?
All the time. I mean, that's
Did he
just,
do it that night?
He just plays. He's a kid. I mean, he's an adult, but he's like a 12-year-old in his mentality and the way he carries himself. He just does stupid, childish things all the time. So I think if you would go talk to his coworkers, they'd give you a clearer understanding of what he's all about.
Okay.
And he's an opportunist, by the way.
Okay.
So he wouldn't.
Like,
Like if there's an opportunity for him to gain something out of this, he's gonna try to do it.
Okay. Okay. That night, during your altercation with Bindle, did you guys knock anything over or move, or do you know?
It's hard to say.
Okay.
I mean, really, because it's
Sure.
wrestling. I mean, I don't have any conscious memory of doing anything like that. It's possible something could have been knocked over because we were moving around quite a bit, but I have no recollection of it.
Okay. Inmate Wentz, did you guys, other than that time when you put your hands on his neck, do you remember anything else?
Yeah, well, there were a couple other times that things got heated between us, and I threatened that I'd go get a screwdriver and stab him, but never did. And just recently, there was a thing in the chapel, probably a few months ago, where he bugged me to the point that I just told me, I'll get out of here right now, or we'll fight. And I said, I don't care about the cameras or anything, but there was nothing that ever happened at that time.
So there was never any stabbing or?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just one more. The night at the chapel when you received those books, were they, how did you get those? Were they single?
Actually, no. They were collected with a bow tied around it or something. And they were actually given to me by Bobby Lindemood, who's the clerk, because he was still out there at that time. And he said, here, Mick wanted me to give these to you. Mick being the chapel librarian.
Okay. So there was a bow on it. Do you remember what that color that was?
Best of my recollection, red.
Okay. Do you know where that bow
I
went?
have no idea.
Okay. Was there anything else on the books?
Not that I can recall. And in fact, I don't know where I left the books, whether I left them in the office or put them in my coat, or I just don't remember.
Okay. Mr. Scherf, I wanted to tell you something also. I did talk to Brenda today because the media received information, and it wasn't from Monroe Police Department or the Sheriff's Office, that you would talk to us. And I wanted to tell her that because I was afraid that the media would start at her again, and I wanted her to be prepared for that. So I did tell her that, and I also told her that you were trying to get in touch with her, but her cell phone, you needed a router. I don't really know, so,
Well,
but
she
I
just
told her
needs
that.
to- okay.
I told her that.
I appreciate
I
it.
don't really know what that means, but I did tell her that. And I did ask her if she received your letter, and she had not.
Okay, so I don't know where that letter's at.
Okay, so I wanted you to know that.
Could you call her one more time and say that there's a visit slot available on Saturday from 1 to 2? My mother, I think, was going to come, but if she wants to come, I'd rather see her.
1 to 2?
Yeah. And it's time specific. I mean, she really has to be here.
And who does she call?
She's I scheduled that. It's already,
I see.
right? If I put in the visit slip,
Yes.
that's a done
She can
deal.
just show up?
I think you'd have to ask him. I have no idea how it works.
She would just show up in reception, the reception area, and actually he could see both of them. Two are allowed.
Now, how can I get a hold of the media myself? Because I need to deflect the attention away from her. And I'm not going to make any statements to them at this time, but I want them to understand that if they ever want me to talk to them, they need to leave her alone.
You know,
That's what I want to tell them.
okay, I understand that. I think it's best not to draw any attention to her. That's just my opinion.
Because they're just
So,
like vultures. I don't even know why they
yeah. You know what? I will call her tomorrow. I will relay that message, and I will also check with her and see if anybody has continued to
The
contact
attorney
her.
said, yeah, the attorney, he said he talked to her today briefly, and she mentioned that they were bugging her at work now too.
Well, I know that they did, but today when I talked to her, she told me that had stopped.
Okay, that's good. Maybe I should just leave it alone then, like you say.
Here's a thought, Mr. Scherf. You're right, the media will hound somebody until they get some information. Perhaps her providing a brief, I'm sorry, I'm not willing to talk about it right now, statement would be enough for them to go away.
Well, she's already told them that. I do know that.
I mean, I was thinking that just if I wouldn't say anything to him at this time, but if I know they want to talk to me. So if I could just say, look, if you don't leave her alone, you'll never hear anything from me, then maybe they would leave her alone. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry, I got off
No,
track there.
no, that's okay. I mean, I think it's okay that we talk about all this and,
Thank
Okay.
you for calling her, I appreciate
yeah.
that.
Did you do anything with Officer Bindle's ID card?
No,
You didn't remove it, put it anywhere, or do anything
No.
like that?
no.
Okay. Yesterday you mentioned that Officer Bindle tried to contact somebody at around 8 o'clock to schedule an unscheduled movement.
Mm-hmm.
What time do you think that was?
It was after the movement was closed, and that's why she would have to do that.
Would that have been 8 o'clock?
Or shortly thereafter, 8:01, 8:02, because I was actually in, I think, the clerk's office at that time and overheard her on the phone, or saw that she was on the phone, and she had told some guys that she was going to try to get them out of there, I believe, and then some guys came by and said, never mind, we can't leave, which meant that the lieutenant denied the special movement.
So, is it your belief that that conversation took place over the telephone or over the radio?
Over the telephone.
Okay.
Usually they don't make calls like that over the radio.
Okay. Do you know who she would have been talking to?
I'm assuming the shift lieutenant. That's usually who has to clear something like that.
And do you know, just based on having been there for so long, who that would have been?
No, they switch off and on. It's hard to keep track of these. The day shift are real regular, but the night shift, swing shift are from one day to the next. It might be something different.
Do you know Mick's full name?
Kienholz, Kienholz. And he's the one that I've been working with primarily, trying to get all that music stuff in the computer. He's the one that took Snow's position.
I see.
When Snow lost his job out there. And I had been working as a volunteer prior to that.
Regarding the episode where you blacked out, can you describe the last moments before you black out for me? Where
Yeah,
you're at and what you're doing, in the most amount of detail that you can.
Like I said, told you last night, I was at the point where we were been wrestling down on the ground, and she was laying out, and I was off to the side. And first I had my arm around her neck like that, trying to choke her, and that wasn't working. Then I had my arm on top of her like that, even my elbow, and that was. And then I saw that microphone cord laying there, and pulled this side under her head and grabbed it like that, and it was like a loop. I started to pull it across, and it's about at that point that I just basically.
And
I mean, I was in the chair. That's the next thing I remember.
if you could put a percentage on it, 10%, 50%, 80%, pressure that you were putting on that cord before you blacked out.
I'd say probably well over 75%.
So well over 75% of your entire strength going into that cord before you black out.
Yes.
And when you black out, what happens? Does your vision just get smaller and
I don't
smaller?
know,
Or
it's
does it
nothing
just...
that, no, it's nothing that I can, I'm just saying that that's the last thing I remember, and then I was in the chair, so I don't know that there's anything that I can say really happened. I mean...
But the last thing you remember is you're pulling with about 75% of
Yes.
your full strength.
Yes.
And then,
And she's gasping, not gasping, but making that strangulation or choking noise.
and then when you come to, you're in the chair in the back row
Yes.
that you've highlighted on the picture.
Yes.
And when that happens, do you wake up like you're coming out of a dead sleep? Or
Well,
do
it's
you
just like, wow, type thing, just and looking around and wondering what's... I mean, I knew what was going on one hand, but like I said, it was a kind of really a surreal experience. It was like, did this really happen? And I think that's mainly why I walked up there, because I wasn't sure that it had really happened. I mean, I knew that it had, but it just felt like it had. And it was kind of a weird experience. I can't explain it.
like a dream?
Like a dream, maybe. I don't know. That's a good way to put it, I guess.
Okay. Now, pardon me if I might be a bit of a skeptic, but a lot of people over the years, and lots of cops have talked to lots of people who describe episodes where they may black out. And oftentimes that's usually an opportunity for someone to describe an event where they don't want to remember certain episodes. So
It could be. I mean, my mind could have blocked that out, or I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, yeah.
Is it true that it really is, you just don't have a memory of it, or is that possible it's something that you just really don't want to talk about yet?
I'm not sure, sir. It feels like I have no memory of it, basically. I could be blocking it, I just don't know.
Is it, if you are, is it voluntary?
No, I'm not, I mean, if I knew, I would talk about it. I mean, I've talked about everything else, why wouldn't I talk about that? I mean,
Well, it's possible that there's something that you just really don't feel comfortable talking about yet.
no, I don't think, I think I've talked about pretty much everything. I mean, I intended to kill her, and I took the steps to kill her, and she's dead, so I don't know what, you know, in that window of opportunity that I'd want to suppress at this time, so that's all I can tell you.
I'm sorry. During our photographs we've been taking of you, we've been documenting the bruising. There's like a blood blister on the inside of your web. I think your left hand, yeah. You have a similar injury on one of your testicles. Mm-hmm. Have you ever noticed that blister there before?
Yeah, I think that I get those periodically because my pants pinch my testicle, and that's what causes those.
Did she knee you by chance or strike you in the groin?
Not that I recall, but it's very possible. I mean, I think in a situation like that, there's things that happen that you don't necessarily recall the details of. She could have kneed me. I didn't feel the pain, and I don't have a mental memory of it. But.
And at no time during the physical altercation with her did you remove any of your clothing articles?
No.
Mr. Scherf, do you know what caused that in the web?
You know, I'm thinking that maybe it had something to do with that mic cable coming across there like that. Possibly. I don't know for sure. I mean, there was quite a bit of pressure.
Just to be clear, which cable are we talking about?
The mic cable.
The microphone for her lapel radio?
The mic cable that I strangled her with.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
That's okay. I just want to be clear.
Have you seen any of the media coverage
Not at all.
on this case?
I read one newspaper article
When was that?
that had to do with the memorial service.
Was that while you were in the county jail here?
Yes.
The memorial service was on Tuesday.
Yes.
So you think you saw media coverage for the first time on Wednesday?
Yes.
Do you remember which form of media you were able to look at?
It was the Everett Herald, the front page story of her actual memorial service.
And did you read all the content of that article?
Yes.
My memory of that particular edition of the paper included not only the main story, but 3 or 4 associated stories. Did you read those as well?
Some of those too, yes.
So the information that you provided us during our conversation and interview yesterday and interview today, that is from your independent memory?
Yes, it is.
And none of those details are from any media story?
No, none whatsoever.
Besides us, and I'm not asking you to tell us what you told your attorney, so please make that clear. I don't want any answer about information you gave Mr. Friedman. But besides us, have you told anyone else or admitted to anyone else about what happened with Officer Bindle?
The only thing that comes close to that is when I told Troy Hansen that I was sorry. And beyond that, no. That I can recall. I was pretty cautious, I think. I didn't say too much. I mean, is there someone in particular that you thought I'd talk to? Or?
No, sir.
Okay.
This could very well be the last time that you get to meet with us in this environment with a formal type statement given to the police and a camera that's looking at you. Is there anything else that you want to say before this segment of this investigation closes?
I don't think so, not this time. I think I pretty well covered everything.
So to close up this interview right now, before we went on tape and actually on our way up here from the basement, I told you that I passed on your request to the prosecutor's office that you wanted to talk to the prosecutor.
Yes, I did. Put it back on, I'll say it again.
It's okay. It's still going. The tape's still going. Keep going. I'll stop you if it stops.
Okay. Thank you. And I passed on your request that you wanted to talk to the prosecutor.
Yes.
And on the way up here, I told you that I did that and that they said that they would be willing to talk to you tomorrow at 10:30 in the morning. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And is that what you want?
That is exactly what I want.
Okay. Do you have any questions for us?
Not at this time, no.
Do you have anything else you want to add to the statement?
Not at this time, no.
Okay. At any time during this statement, have you asked that the question or tape be stopped?
No.
At any time during this statement, have you requested an attorney?
No.
Is it true that the facts stated in this tape are true and correct to the best of your knowledge, and that your statement has been made freely, voluntarily, and without threats or promises of any kind?
Yes.
Do you certify or declare, under penalty of perjury, under the laws of the state of Washington, that this statement is true and correct?
Yes, I do.
Would you please sign on the line indicated below?
I certainly would.
Right, and to note, Mr. Scherf is going to sign his name where it says subject signature.
And time?
I'll put the time on there.
I mean, you just want it dated, though?
That's fine. And I'll sign my name as a witness. The time is now 18:32 hours, and this concludes this statement. Thank you, sir.